Welcome to Jessie at Home. In this video, I'm going to show you how to join as you go when you're knitting and you're making vertical stripes. So here you see I have this vertical stripe of blue, and I'm about to knit a vertical stripe of this green, and I'm going to join them together as I am knitting. There's a different method depending on if I join on this side or I join on this side. So this we're going to call the knit side join, because you can see I'm about to do a row of knit, and that at the end of the row of knit is when I'm going to join onto this piece. So this is the knit side join. The other side would be the purl side join, because I would be approaching it from the purl side. You can do any sort of pattern you want. It does not have to be a stocking knit stitch. I'm doing a stocking knit stitch for the ease of the demonstration, but you can see that this piece I'm doing is 6 stitches wide. In these first 5 stitches, I could do any sort of stitch pattern I want. The important thing is that this last stitch is always stocking knit, in that on this side it's a knit stitch, and when we flip it, it's a purl stitch. Okay, so in here, do a seed stitch, do a rib, do bobbles, cables, whatever floats your boat. It's this last stitch that's important, and this is the knit side of your work for this last stitch. The piece that you're joining to must have been done also with the last stitch done in stocking knit, and you must start every row with a slip stitch. You will see when I do this, because I will start every row with a slip stitch on this side. But in this piece, on the knit side, I slipped one and then knit to the end. On the purl side, I slipped one and then purl to the end. Always start your rows with a slip stitch, or else this pattern will not work. So, here we go. We are on the knit side of our work, and I just need to move my ball of yarn because it's wrapped around my tripod here and isn't pulling very well. Okay. So, we are on the knit side of the work, and like I said, you're going to slip your first stitch knitwise. Okay? Just make sure I'm centered under the camera here. Now you're just going to knit. This is 6 stitches, so we want to slip the first stitch knitwise, knit 4. Okay, now we're at the join. What you're going to do is slip that last stitch knitwise, and now you see this edge loop, how there's 2 pieces to the loop on the edge here. You're going to go through both of those pieces, and you're going to knit into that loop. Okay, so if you need to, you can pick it up with your left needle and then knit into that loop, and then you're going to pass your slip stitch over. Okay, we'll do it again, don't worry. Turn your work, and again, like I said, slip the first stitch. So you're slipping the first stitch purlwise, purl to the end. Okay, next side. Show you this again. Slip your first stitch knitwise, knit until 1 stitch remains. Now, you're going to slip the last stitch knitwise. You're going to find these edge loops. Pick up the edge loop with your left needle, knit into that edge loop, and pass over your slipped stitch. Turn your work, and this is a purl row. Slip your last stitch. Oopsie. That happens sometimes when I'm busy staring at the camera instead of at my work. Okay, so we slipped our first stitch purlwise, and we purled to the end. Sorry about the clanking of the needles onto the table here. Okay, let me show you this again. Knit side. Slip the first stitch knitwise, knit until one stitch remains, or do whatever pattern you have planned until one stitch remains. Slip the last stitch knitwise, pick up the loop at the edge of your work, knit into that loop, both pieces, pass your slip stitch over. Okay? And as you can see, you're bringing those loops in. The blue loops are inside the green piece, and the green loops are inside the blue piece. It gives you a really cute little connecting seam. Purl side. Purl, slip one purlwise, purl to the end. I'm going to do one more row here for you. And maybe I'll do a few more. We'll see. We'll see how long the camera holds out. So, okay, knit one, slip one knitwise, knit until one stitch remains. Alright. Now, slip the last stitch knitwise, pick up those loops on the side of your work, knit into those loops, pass your slipped stitch over. Now, like I said, it's very important that each row of the centerpiece even is started with a slip stitch, because what that does is it puts one loop that covers two rows. And if you've noticed, we're joining when we finish our knit row. We're not joining at the beginning of the purl row. What that means is that we're only joining every other row, which means I want one loop at every other row. Does that make sense? If you don't slip that first stitch, you'll have too many loops, and this won't work. So be sure you've slipped your first stitch. Okay, again, we've slipped our first stitch knitwise, knit to the end until there's one stitch remaining. Slip the last stitch knitwise, pick up the loop at the two loops at the edge of the work. Okay, that's actually the slip stitch that's at the edge of your work. Knit into that, pass your slipped stitch over. Okay, we've almost got this piece done, and I will make a second video. We're slipping one purlwise, purl to the end. I will make a second video to show you how you attach your work from the purl side. Okay, so if I were joining on this side, we'll do it over there. Okay, slip the first stitch knitwise, knit knit until one stitch remains, slip the last stitch knitwise, pick up that loop. I kind of cheat and do this. I don't use my left needle when I do that last stitch. Pass the slip stitch over. Slip your first stitch purlwise, purl to the end. Whoops. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to stop there, and I will show you the next side on the next video.